So hey everyone, and in this video we are going to build a very exciting project, and this project would actually help us learn about very important things. Like first of all, we'll be creating a user which would be having an email, password or username. So first of all, we would be creating a collection for user, and second thing would be we would be creating a task manager database. That is, we would be just storing the tasks which are about to be done or status of that task created by that user. That means I want to wake up at 7, that other person wants to wake up at 8. So different tasks for different users, right? So we are going to create that, and we are going to manage users, and then we are going to manage tasks. And one more thing, we are going to use middlewares to check the authentication of the user. That means we are going to perform the login and register of the user. So very important concepts are going to be covered today, and this single project would cover everything which you need to know about middleware, about authentication, and how actually different collections can be joined together. That means your task manager would be having different collection and your user would be having different collection. Okay, and how we can actually manage them. That means if this is a task, which user created this task, that means whose task it is. Okay, so we are going to understand how to actually create task and assign it to a specific user. Okay, so let's do this. So first of all, I'll just create a very fresh project. So guys, I would simply go to the Atlas website of MongoDB to get a database, create a database. So we're going to create a fresh database. So again, I can go for the Gmail account which I want. So that's totally free. And then in the last video, we actually created a database. Either we can actually use that, or we can create a fresh one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new project, and here itself I'm gonna name this as Task Manager. Okay, Task Manager. So yes, create project. And after this, you can see it's created. I would go for database and build a database and go for free version and click create. And then I have to just pick for some passwords. So I would just type hj123 hj123 create user, and rest everything is fine. Automatically my IP address is added. Finish and close. So now you can see guys, a very basic database has been created. Now if I click on connect compass, here you would get this. Okay, so I want this URL, so I would just copy this. Okay, so now I would simply create a Node.js backend and set up our different things. Okay, so guys, here itself I'm gonna create a new folder and I'll name it as Task Manager Backend. Okay, so I'm going to write backend here, and what I'll do is I'll just simply right click, open with code, and here I would go for my terminal, and here I would simply write a few things. First of all, npm init, and it would initialize my backend. Just hit enter and everything would be done. And see that a very initial packs.json file has been created. Now here inside this we are going to install a few things, but before that let me just create a .env file, and inside this I'm going to store my MongoDB URL. Okay, so mongo underscore URL equals, I hope now everyone knows what is a env file. In the last video I've actually discussed that, so you can watch that. So I would just say whatever was my ID password, I have to pass it here. And one more thing is you can just say your DB name. Okay, so I'll just say my database name equals, suppose, task manager DB. Okay, suppose I'm naming it like this, right? So these were the things which I wanted to say here, right? So after this I'm going to create an env file. We created the env file. After this we are going to create an index file. Okay, so index.js. Index.js, inside this we are going to set up a very basic backend. So guys, first of all I'm going to do some installation. I would just simply type npm i express. Okay, we are going to use express. We are also going to use body parser, and we are also going to use .env. We're also going to use later on we are going to use some cookie parser also, so we have to use that. Okay, so let me just see where I have to use. Actually, I will just write all the things which we need to use. Okay, so I would simply write bcrypt. So we need bcrypt also. We would be using bcrypt for encrypting our password, that is just securing our password. And then we also need JSON web token to generate token. So JSON web token, and we are going to understand everything, don't worry. I haven't told this till now. I would be telling this today. Okay, what is bcrypt and what is JSON web token, but yeah, you need these. Okay, so now after this, what else do we have? I think that's it. And that's it. I think that's all what we need, but later on we would be using cookie parser and things like that get to get more data. Okay, so right now you can see that this is it. So if I just hit enter, guys, one more thing, let me just set up our database. So you all know that db.js file would be containing our database, and first of all, it would be again needing mongoose. So we are going to use mongoose. So npm I mongoose. Okay. Now after this, we have to simply say we want to connect our database. So I have to look for Mongo URL, and I can actually say bring Mongo URL from my env file. Okay, that's what I told here. And I can also say bring my db name from my env file. So I hope the name is correct. Yes, the names are correct here. You can check the name. So I bought these from my env file, and then I am just saving it here. That means I'm just starting my database here. So when my database would start, I would get a correct response, or if it didn't start, then response. Okay, so these are all the things which you want for the database. Now I have to again go back to index.js, and here I would say connect to my database. So first of all, I would import express and body parser. Then I would also import this. Okay, after this we are going to create some routes, that is user routes and task routes. I'm going to first of all comment this out because right now we haven't created this, but later on we are going to create these. Okay, so after this we also have to say that we are using .env config everywhere, so just use it in this page also. And then we need to say whatever is my file location of db. I just need to write there. So my db is located in this location. So it would automatically start the database when we start the backend. Okay, then I'm just simply saying my port number is 8000. Now guys, after this I'm just going to say we are always going to use body parser to always convert data into JSON format. Okay, now after this we have user and task routes, which we are again going to uncomment later on. Right now I'll just comment this, we haven't created this. Okay, so after this we'll just say that once everything is done, I will just start my backend with a very basic API. Okay, with a very basic API app.get, and as a response it would simply give me task manager API is working if I call this route, and app listening on this port. Okay, so now let's try to run this. I hope everyone is on the same page. If you are not able to understand this, that means you haven't watched the previous videos, so you can watch those videos so you can understand it better. Okay, so now I would simply say nodemon, make sure nodemon is installed. I have already installed it globally in the previous video, so I don't need to install, or simply type nodemon, and you can see that it's there. Now it would take a few seconds for our database to be connected. So you can see database is connected. Now what I'll do is I'll simply try to use it. So here guys, I would simply type localhost 8000, and you would see task manager API is working. That means everything is fine here, right?